Today we're talking about the forgotten Target co-founder, John Geisse. Sam Walton was his close friend and called him a pioneer in innovative retailing concepts. He also said, "I have never known anyone else I respected more for many things, including integrity, morality, and the way Geisse cared for his associates." That's remarkably high praise. So who was John Geisse? Well, before we get into the Target days, let's give some background. John Geisse was born September 1st, 1920 in Madison, Wisconsin. His father was aeronautical inventor John Harlan Geisse. He created crosswind landing gear. The family later moved to Washington, D.C. He attended St. John's College High School in nearby Annapolis through 1937. Their military program led him to the United States Naval Academy. They were all set to graduate in 1942, but it was rushed after Pearl Harbor was attacked. By spring 1942, Geisse was on a ship and served until the end of World War II. As lieutenant commander of the USS Tuscaloosa, he served mostly on the Pacific Front. Geisse and the Tuscaloosa also ferried troops to England ahead of D-Day. After the war, John decided upon Minneapolis as his new home. There, he began working at the Dayton Company, one of the city's premier department stores. Around this time, he met a co-worker named Dave Babcock. Over the next few years, Geisse and Babcock worked their way up the corporate ladder to vice presidency. They worked directly under the Dayton brothers. Another one of his fellow VPs was Douglas Dayton, the youngest of the brothers and director of the company. During Geisse's tenure in the late 50s and early 60s, he watched the early discounters hit the scene. They were beating traditional department stores to America's growing suburbs. He noticed a gap between these low-end and often low-quality discounters and top-quality department stores like Dayton's. There was no middle, no upscale discount. A light went off. He'd do it himself. He began developing a concept for this new type of store. In 1960, he planned to resign from Dayton's and open the new chain on his own. The only problem was he needed capital, and it happened to be at this time that Dayton was looking to diversify. Management convinced him to pitch the idea to the Dayton brothers. They loved it. Douglas was assigned to this new concept and joined Geisse in converting his plans into reality, a new discount subsidiary. Geisse would serve as its first vice president and general merchandise manager, with Douglas as president. Geisse married the top quality merchandise of the Dayton's department stores with a fast, self-service central checkout store model, featuring the then-new universal internal racetrack design. He created the whole merchandising format and ambience of the store. Instead of selling inexpensive, low-quality merchandise, the new division would carry high-quality goods at low profit margins. They do this by cutting things like custom tailoring, department checkouts, and delivery, while keeping an attractive and functional shopping atmosphere. As for a name, more than 200 were considered. They then went through various Target-inspired logos before picking the original bullseye. About 2 months after Kmart opened its first store, Geisse and Dayton were ready to launch Target Stores Incorporated. The first store was opened on May 1st, 1962, in Roseville, a suburb of Minneapolis. This made Dayton's the first department store with a discount division. Shortly after Dayton launched Target, Sam Walton opened the first Walmart. Early on in the Target years, John Geisse met Sam Walton. The two hit it off and became friends. By 1968, Target had 11 stores and had just expanded into Missouri. They were planning their next moves, and there was some disagreement over strategies. Many executives wanted to shotgun their growth, opening as many stores as they could finance. But John believed it made more sense to focus on dominating a single market at a time. He was outvoted. If it weren't for Geisse, Target might have never existed. It was his baby, and I don't think he was happy with the way it was being managed. So John decided it was time to move on, and resigned in July 1968. Flash forward to the early 70s, when Target execs were reinventing the company. They developed the Guides for Growth, which took many elements from Geisse's original 1962 report. The Geisse guidelines are still in use today. After he resigned, Douglas Dayton sent a letter to John's wife, Mary, and restated that Geisse's contribution to Target was tremendous, and the whole corporation recognized and appreciated that. During Geisse's consulting career in 1979, he asked chairman and CEO of Dayton, William Andres, to approve wording that John could use with his clients. Andres stated that co-founder of Target was certainly appropriate. A third from his replacement, Bruce Albright, said it's always good to hear from a respected competitor, but even more so from the founder of the company. Obviously, John has the credentials, so why is he rarely, if ever, credited as co-founder of Target stores? Well, eventually Target grew so large that Dayton changed its parent name to the Target Corporation. By 2000, they'd already begun to link both company histories, and mostly ignored the contributions from Geisse's era. Reading their published history, the period is fairly glossed over and ignores John completely. I don't think it was malicious, as his name was well respected, but there obviously wasn't any effort made to respect his work in perpetuity. I'm sure no one at Target today would recognize his name, and that's something that's heartbreaking to see. After Target, Geisse began looking for his next project. Dave Babcock had since moved to another department store, the May Company, where he was their executive vice president. After Target entered their home market of St. Louis, Mayco was in a rush to get into the discount division. When Babcock heard Geisse resigned, he tried to get him on board to help develop their own discount chain, another Target if you will. Around the same time, Sam and Helen Walton showed up unannounced at John's front door in Minneapolis and tried to convince him to move to Arkansas and join a growing Walmart. As Babcock later said, John had tremendous strength as a creator and builder, but he didn't always have the patience to do boring things like day-to-day management over a long period of time. That may have been one of the reasons why he declined Sam's offer and decided to start something fresh with May. What came out of the partnership was a bold new discounter called Venture Stores. Geisse wanted to out-target Target, and this new chain was very similar, also taking cues from Kmart, Walmart, and Corvettes, the chain that started the whole discount trend. Venture didn't have as many frills as Target, which allowed it to have even lower prices. In 1970, the first store opened in St. Louis. By just 6 years later, Venture had 20 locations in the Midwest. Soon, Venture became the lowest cost discounter in the country, as well as one of the largest. Geisse had prearranged a retirement from Venture and Mayco in 1975, and that's what he did. John and Mary Geisse moved their whole family, now 10 children, to Indianapolis, where John became CEO of the local discounter Airway, a troubled chain. After he joined, he helped to bring the company back from the brink of bankruptcy. He also served as board member of Mayco, Ames, and Walmart, among many others. After Airway, Geisse happily settled permanently in Indianapolis, where he started his consulting firm. As part of his work for his clients, he discovered the incredible early Price Club warehouse stores in San Diego. In 1982, Geisse decided to start yet another new chain and become the first Price Club clone. The result was the Wholesale Club, opened in February 1983. Now in his 60s, his membership warehouse became the 5th largest in its industry. He was there every step of the way, with that same unbridled passion, now joined with his son Tom as Senior Vice President of Marketing. In less than a decade, they'd grown the chain from 0 to $1 billion in sales and to 28 warehouse stores. John walked the stores almost every day and visited competitors for new ideas. In 1984, he was inducted into the Discount Store News Discount Hall of Fame for his outstanding work in the field. He ended up handing over the Wholesale Club to Sam Walton in 1991, which was then merged into Sam's Club. One thing is for sure about John, he never stopped. He tried to retire a couple times, but the retail game kept pulling him back in. He loved what he did, and despite being a titan of his industry, he was one of the most humble and modest men you'd ever met. If he lived longer, I have no doubt he would have started a 4th company. Imagine what he could have done with the internet. During his exploits, he had 5 sons, 5 daughters, 15 grandchildren, and now great-grandchildren. John passed away on February 21st, 1992 at 71 years old. Today is 30 years to the date. If there's anything you should take from this story, it's to just remember John Geisse. The thing is, John never tripped himself over accolades and status. He cared about what he made while he was alive, and doing it the best he could. It was how great of an experience he could give his customers, whether they knew who he was or not. To me, he should be held at as high a place as other business legends, and his name strongly planted in our memories. That's the least we can do. He understood retail like no one else, and people are still learning from his work to this day.